What's up, YouTube? It's Todd Horstey with Taste Tracker, and today I have another small account challenge update. So starting off here with SPY, we're at the top range where we've been here for 3 days. To me, I don't really see how we can't come back down and test 400. That just seems crazy. In addition, we have decreasing green volume here, MACD kind of weakening. It's not rolling over quite yet, but it's weakening. Same with RSI, weakening at the very top of its recent range if we're looking back here. So I'm looking for this to come back down, confirm the 400 point, and then bounce off of that from there. And who knows, we might have some consolidation in there. We haven't had much periods of consolidation. Here's a couple days, here's a couple days, but for the most part, we're moving either up or down. What I personally think, of course, it doesn't particularly matter, but we come down, do something like that before we potentially see a move higher. Of course, at that point, we're going to have the 20-day come up here and act as support if we can have it come back down and touch. So today I actually made 2 trades. One was to get into Disney, and the other one was to buy 1 share of Roku. So let's first look at Disney. So right here, I bought the 175 and I sold the 180, which means I collected a credit. If I come over here to Tasty Tracker, I can see I collected 161. That's right at what I want to collect. The 39% in the money is coming from Tastyworks, so I had my Tastyworks screen up at the same time that I was entering into Robinhood. Okay, so I want it to be above 180, so I come over here to the stock, and why did I place my strike at 180? 180 is right here, and if I, what I have here is an extension on the 100-day green line, so you can see there is some overlap, but it's that general direction. The slope might be decreasing, so maybe, let me go off of that tool. And maybe, you get something more along those lines. But the general idea is that I want to see the trajectory of when the 100-day will come up and when it crosses the 180 line. So let's go ahead and draw a line here at 180. Okay, so the question is, when will that come up here? And that's looking, around the 21st of April. Yeah, you can see that on my screen. Okay, so around that time, the 100-day will then be at the 180 strike, acting as support. So if for some reason Disney wants to roll over, it should be called by the 100-day and then bounce up from there. Okay, so that's my downside that I'm thinking is potentially possible. However, I'm not counting on that. Right now, this looks to me that it came down. Basically, the 50-day caught it, and I talk about this all the time, where even it coming down here for a couple of days and then popping right back up, that to me is still confirmation of the 50. If you want to see the 50 breaking, I would be looking for it to come into this range. If it came down here, then I would have looked for it to come down to the 100. But because it quickly popped up here, even, it spent 1 day down and then right back up. And then all 3 of these days here closed right around the 50-day. So to me, the 50-day is holding, and it's actually bringing up the stock, so it's making higher lows. Then we pop back up here and encounter the 20-day, and of course that's going to act as resistance on its first encounter. So then it comes back down. Now we're confirming the 50-day, and we're looking to pop above the 20. When we make it through all of the SMAs, you should be able to get a pop. As there is more headroom for the stock to travel up. Another thing that indicates that to me is the MACD and the RSI being in good positions. Yes, the RSI started to curl down. That's because the stock is down today. That's not overly concerning. What is more interesting to me is that we have a bit of that trend coming, which is increase in an RSI, which means the stock is getting hotter, people are flooding in, and they'll push the price up. So as the MACD turns over here, and the RSI gets hotter, I am fairly confident that it comes up above the 20-day And at that point, we have the 20-day and the 50-day sitting between us and our sold strike down here at 180, which would be at the 100-day, within a couple days. Okay. The downside here is we have earnings that could potentially be bad. If we're going to, a lot of times before earnings, you'll see a increase in price as it kind of slinks up here a little bit. That could be enough if it gets close to the $200 mark to go ahead and close our position for 50% gain. That would be fine with me. If we're in this area and then earnings happens, even if we have a dip down, we still have, a dip from earnings, assuming again that the stock was up here, might get us down to 185, which would still have our position be out of the money, and that decrease in volatility from earnings, the IV crush, could potentially close the position out. But obviously we don't know till we get there. So June expiration here is on the 18th. There we go. Yeah. So there is quite a bit of time. This is the first position on this account to be under the June expiration, but I did want to diversify a little bit on the expirations because the other one here is for 5/14, which isn't even the next monthly. I had to go for a weekly with that one to get the width that I wanted. So that's a week before the monthly expiration coming up here in May. Okay, so I think that covers everything I need to cover there, thought process wise. Let me know if you have any questions. Next is Roku. Roku's a stock that personally, I'm a big fan of Roku in general. I couldn't even tell you. I have a Roku TV, and then I could tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Roku sticks and a Roku TV. I love Roku. I use it every single day. My kids love it. My wife loves it. So I'm a fan of the product. The problem is the stock is always volatile. I'm not sure why it's always so volatile. It trades like Tesla, where it's all over the place. And usually what that means for me is I can't time options correctly. So I maybe down here sell a put spread and then it shoots up, and you would think that's good. But potentially IV increased, or potentially not enough time passed, and then it comes right back down. And so until enough time has passed that I can actually exit at my preferred 50%, it just never ends up hitting. So yeah, maybe if you're looking for 15 or 10, 20% gain somewhere in that range, maybe you'd be able to hit it. But I can never seem to get it to hit with a short put spread. So the other option there is to buy calls or buy puts. At this point, I'm bullish, so I would be more inclined to buy calls. However, if you're going to do that, I personally like, 60, even 90 days out, just to make sure that I have way enough time. Yes, it moves a lot slower, but the odds of you getting out with some profit are better, at least when averaged out over time, especially for somebody like me who's not that great at playing long calls and long puts. I always end up being right about the move, but not having enough time. So then I sort of swing the other way and have too much time. Anyway, to circumvent all of that in this account and do something that's a little bit safer, I just went ahead and bought one share. And so if I go over to the stocks page, I bought this share for $360.88. And so we can see I ended up the day a dollar. $1.17. Obviously, that's not a big deal. I'm still actually looking for the same sort of $80 profit kind of range. And so my intention here is that we got over the 20-day here, we got over the 50-day here, and then today largely was confirmation. It could have come back down to the 20-day, but it didn't. It confirmed the 50-day, or the 100-day, I'm sorry. And then I do believe that we have enough strength here in the RSI and MACD that we can, do something that's a little bit extreme, something like that. And something like that. And that extra movement will potentially allow us to get above the 50-day yellow SMA line here. Of course, if we do that, then that's going to act as support, and we should be clear sailing from here. So the benefit, obviously, of owning a share is that I don't have to worry about the time associated with an option. There is no expiration. So earnings obviously is a concern, but I don't need to make sure that I get out in that time if I'm a believer long term that Roku will go up. I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think it will always stay below 360. That's crazy. We have established range up here to 482. So it very easily could make $120 over the next month and a half, which would be, or month, which would be very similar to how long I hold options. So, if you want to simplify it, you could draw a line like that. More than likely, I think we get a pop up here and then a slow degrade and then maybe something like that. So what is my profit target? I would say anywhere in this range I'm satisfied with. So if we got up to 430, that's cool. That's 70 bucks. So 440 would be my ideal sort of range, 445. But it is not unreasonable at all to think that you could get $100 or $120 out of this play. Again, depending on how long you want to hold, but you can hold forever. There's no time limit. So so I thought I'd switch it up. I did not do any stocks in the 2020 challenge. So this is the first time I'm dipping my toes into that for the 2021 challenge. I'm not saying that this is primarily options, so that will be what I'm doing most of the time. But, when an opportunity presents itself and I think the better play is stock, then of course I'm going to do that than just trying to shoehorn an option strategy into this. Potentially you could have done a Iron Condor, something up here at the 485 and then something down here at the 300, if not lower, something like 285. I'm not sure about the credit, if that would be worthwhile or not. But typically it whips around so much that I don't feel comfortable with an Iron Condor because in 3 or 4 days, Roku can totally blast off and have a huge move and blow right through your strikes. So yeah. Okay, so I think that's all I have for Roku. Let me know if you have any questions on that one. So at the moment, just for today, Disney's only down $1, Roku's up $1. So the new positions are pretty much a wash. But we did close the AMGN position. So I'll talk about that now. My intention was to have it come down into this area where I would then sell the put side, maybe even further. Ideally, if I could have sold the put side down in this area, that would have really interested me. So I would have started to really consider it at 232. But I would have even considered it up here at the 50 days. So 240, 232, and then definitely at this 225. If it made it the whole way down there, I would definitely sell the put side without any thought. MACD and RSI are kind of turning down, so there's still plenty of legs in this down movement. So I would expect something along that lines. Now, does the 50-day catch it, or does it not quite make it that far? Maybe it stops here at the 20-day level. I don't know. Typically speaking, the 20-day doesn't play into this stock much at all. It doesn't seem to care. It goes up and down straight through the 20-day all the time. So I'm not really counting on it here. So I would like to see it come down to here and then consider selling a put spread there. I wanted to do an Iron Condor. What had happened was I put in a closing order just for $50 or whatever. I can come over here to position history if I click the right one, for $54. Typically I'm looking to exit for around $80 on a $160 wide spread. And we can see here that if I go to history, I originally, yeah. Why is this? There must be a bug here. That is a lot of stuff. Go to summary. Fine. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I'm not sure what I opened it up for originally, but yeah, I normally am looking for $80. I had a closing order just for a, hey, what if it hits it by some chance in the next couple days kind of thing. And yeah, it did turn out to only take 8 days. So a little bit over a week for $50. So I'm not complaining. Yeah, I ideally would have held on to that a bit longer, but at the end of the day, it's $50 that I have in my pocket. If you're still in the position, I would hold on a bit longer and stick to the original plan to sell the put spread somewhere down in this range to make it an iron condor. Of course, if you want to follow, tit for tat for what I'm doing, then you're welcome to close it for the profit. But I am expecting it to continue to go down further. Dogs were going crazy, and they still are a little bit. But anyway, so to finish up here, count is currently sitting at 1644. That's about what it's been sitting at for this week. Have had, a marginal increase, but certainly nothing to undo the pain that we experienced back in here. But hopefully that will be turning around here, and I will give you an update as things evolve. So thanks, and I'll talk to you next time.